Welcome to GameSack. In this episode, we're going to take a look at some games that have sequels that are better than the original. And boy, do I have the perfect game to start out with.
No, Joe, no, never. We're not talking about Madden this episode or ever.
Well, then what the hell games are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about a game that deserves to be talked about. Ghosts and Goblins.
You know, that does sound a little bit more interesting. Let's check it out.
First up, we have Ghosts and Goblins for the NES. This is a fairly good port of the arcade version with some less detailed graphics and sound, but that's alright.
You know, I prefer it over the arcade version, actually.
The music's good, it really helps you get into the game, and the control for the most part is good. There's a few bad spots around ladders where you don't know if you're on or off the ladder.
I died so many times on those damn ladders.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. You know, it's a difficult game, but being a poor kid in high school, you know, I had no choice but to play this over and over, which made me a better player, I think. I still haven't beat it, considering, you know, beating
Considering
it
that you suck.
No, considering that beating it means playing through it twice, and the second time is on the hard difficulty. And one little other thing, I really like the map screen on this for some reason.
Oh man, I could stare at that all day.
Yeah, hey look, I'm under the mountain.
Ghosts and Goblins substantially improved when they made Ghouls and Ghosts. And this is the Genesis version here. It's not a perfect port, but it is pretty awesome. And they added a hell of a lot more variety to the game in terms of weapons and backgrounds. The ability to shoot up and down really improved the gameplay in my opinion, because I've always wanted to shoot up in Ghosts and Goblins, and now I finally can. The Genesis version is one of the first games ever made for the system, and it's somewhat limited by the small size of the cartridge. It only has 5 mega power. But I feel this is the best playing version of the game because it allows diagonals and you don't come to a dead stop if you accidentally press one.
Oh yeah, diagonals, yeah, they're for people who don't have full control over their fingers, like you.
Yeah, right. But this game does have some pretty great music.
Oh man, it does. The music is so awesome, I love it, and you know, it also has a really cool map screen that I like as well.
You and those map screens. Anyway, playing through this game twice, which you've got to do just like on Ghosts and Goblins, I feel is kind of a cheap way to extend gameplay, but of course I did it. And it's not tremendously difficult, but for some people, they seem to think it is, but whatever.
Yeah, it is difficult.
Ghouls and Ghosts is one of my favorites. It makes Ghosts and Goblins look like trash.
I wouldn't say trash, Joe. Ghosts and Goblins are good. Maybe it's more of an antique than trash.
Okay.
Well, so now that we're done with that, which non-Madden game are you going to take a look at?
Well, I'm in a fighting game mood. Now, what's the first game that everyone thinks about when you mention fighting games?
Time Killers.
No.
Kasumi Ninja.
No.
Way of the Warrior.
Nope. It's none other than Virtua Fighter.
Oh, that's a good one. Let's take a look at it.
Here we have Virtua Fighter on the Saturn. Now, it was pretty cool for its time, a little rough perhaps. Now, this game features a block button and I never even bothered to press it.
You know, what the hell, man? I mean, what kind of game uses a block button?
I don't know. I'm probably playing it wrong by not pressing it. When I get knocked down, I notice I must wait on the ground forever before I'm allowed to get back up. Again, like I said, I'm probably not playing it correctly. Whatever. They even released this game on the 32X, which was surprisingly decent.
One.
Sega offered Virtua Fighter Remix for free to existing Saturn owners at the time.
That is uncommonly kind of them, Joe. I would never figure Sega would do something nice.
It was nice. It was nice to play the game with new textures, and everything looks much better, but it's, it's still the same old Virtua Fighter. This is Virtua Fighter 2, and what they did here is they vastly improved the graphics. New moves, better control, all that stuff. It does seem still a bit floaty in the jumps department though. It feels like the programmers fine-tuned the gameplay and 2 new characters were added. Overall, it's a much better game experience in my opinion.
Yeah, Joe, Virtua Fighter definitely did improve, and it kept on improving, I'd say, until maybe Virtua Fighter 3 on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, that one did leave a lot to be desired, but it did get better after that. Virtua Fighter 4 and Virtua Fighter 5 are both excellent games.
Yeah.
But now it's your turn to pick a game. What do you have for us now, Dave?
Well, I'm thinking of a different kind of fighting game, say like Punch-Out.
Ooh. Let's check it out.
And here is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Until he decided to rape some lady, and then it became Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream. This game is so simple to control, but is very addictive. Each opponent has telltales of their attack, and once you've learned these telltales, it's so easy to beat them. The control is actually very good.
I never really could get into this game, but I really love the sound and music.
Yeah, the music is great, but too bad the tracks are so short, or it would be actually enjoyable to listen to them on their own. After winning titles, you get an awesome cutscene with Doc training Little Mac, which actually later was turned into a hugely racial music video.
You stole my bike. You stole my bike.
Mike Tyson, look at this guy. He is a one-hit KO. That would be you getting KO'd.
So is Mr. Dream. Look at him, he's so dreamy.
Yes, and he plays exactly like Mike Tyson, but dreamy. And hey, look, who's that ref, if you haven't noticed? It's Mario. Hey, buddy. And this was followed up with Super Punch-Out for the Super Nintendo. This is definitely an awesome sequel to the first game. The proper sequel where the graphics improve, and you get almost all new opponents, and the only thing that doesn't change is the perfect control.
Your dude is transparent now. Hell, I'm surprised he's not made of Mode 7, too.
In this game, they took away the power punch and added a super meter, so when you fill that up, you can actually use like a quick jab type thing, which is not as good as the stars, but it's good still. And also, after beating a title bout, there is absolutely no cinematic cutscene, which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I really love those cinema quality cutscenes in the original game.
Yeah, I always got some popcorn and watched them. Anyways, the music also isn't as great as the first game.
Sounds like UN Squadron. Quack, 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 quack.
It's true. Who can enjoy that?
I could never really get too much into the Punch-Out series, but I can see why you think the second game is better, but I don't think everyone's gonna agree.
Well, and that's fine. I don't expect everybody to agree, but that's what makes this country so great, is your freedom of choice.
Indeed.
Yes, but anyways, well, that's what it is, and now, Joe, let's move back to you, and what's your last game, and it better not be a fighting game.
Well, I was gonna do Hang On versus Super Hang On, but now since I know it's gonna piss you off, I'm gonna do Street Fighter or Fighting Street.
Oh, that's a good choice.
The original Street Fighter. What a mess. You could only play as Ryu or Ryu unless you played 2 players, and then the second player could play as Ken. The 2-player mode is a complete joke.
What? You mean I can't play as Geki or Lee or Ken? Screw this game. I'll just wait till the Super Street Fighter comes out and I can play these characters. Well, too late.
This game has a couple of different bonus stages and things like that. Now, the only home console translation was made for the TurboGrafx CD. In fact, it was one of the first CD games ever made for any home console. The name was changed to Fighting Street for whatever reason that I cannot comprehend. The control was just horrible. The strength of your attack was determined by how long you held the button down, since the Turbo only had 2 buttons on his pad. If you tried really hard, you could pull off some special moves like a fireball or a dragon punch or whatever, but man, it was tough. Street Fighter 1 features probably the best voices in any video game ever. Just listen!
I have good fortune. Number 1. I'm very glad. You are big fool. That's right, but don't forget there are many gods like you all over the world.
Now, somehow Street Fighter was popular enough for Capcom to want to create a sequel. And what a sequel it was! There were many more characters, all of whom were memorable, and you could choose from most of them right at the start. It also featured much better control, much easier to pull off special moves.
Oh man, Joe, how satisfying it was when I first learned how to do a dragon punch. That was so awesome.
It was lots of fun to play with friends, and you were encouraged to keep fighting other human opponents, unlike the original Street Fighter where whoever won would just go on with the rest of the game. Capcom had a very difficult time leaving Street Fighter 2 in the past. They kept upgrading it and adding new things like the ability to play as the bosses, new moves, and even new characters in Super Street Fighter 2.
They still have a hard time leaving Street Fighter 2 behind. Look at Street Fighter 4. It has several characters from Street Fighter 2 in it.
This is a prime example of how much better a game can be over its predecessor. Everyone knows what Street Fighter 2 is, but how many people remember Street Fighter 1? Street Fighter 2 was ported to nearly every console known to man. There was even an official version for the Sega Master System released only in Brazil.
Blanca wins!
Oh, great choice on Street Fighter, Joe. And Street Fighter 2 is and always will be a classic, that's for sure.
Indeed. And now it's time to share a letter from our viewing audience. Today's letter comes to us from Dwayne in Texas. And Dwayne says, Dear GameSack, hi, I am 11 years old and I love your show. I have the bubonic plague and the doctor says I will probably be dead in a few weeks. Before I die, I would like to see you do an episode on portable gaming. I really like portable game systems. Please hurry. My glands are really swollen and I've been bleeding out of my cochlea for many days now. Dwayne. Thanks for the fan mail, Dwayne. We appreciate it.
Oh my God, how long ago did you get that letter?
I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
Poor kid's probably hanging on to their life.
Okay, Dwayne, we'll do an episode on portable gaming for you next week. But we wouldn't do this if you didn't have the bubonic plague.
Oh my God. Well, anyways, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Hang in there, Dwayne.
You are no match for me. I'm strong. You've got a lot to learn before you beat me. Try again, kid.